my name is Bianca Stingo and I'm a managing librarian at Monterey County Free Libraries. Welcome to our Poetry Cafe. During the month of April, in celebration of National Poetry Month, staff have been reading poems by their favorite poets every Thursday, and we've been showing them on our Facebook page. Tonight we're going to do something a little bit different. Tonight we will be featuring local poets who are mostly staff from Monterey County Free Libraries who will be reading their original poetry. Now, several years ago, when Billy Collins came to Monterey to be our featured author at Words and Wine, I had the opportunity to talk to him, and I mentioned a friend of mine who is a published poet. And he made a comment to me that was something along the lines of, being unpublished doesn't make you any less a poet. So I really like that comment. So with that in mind, we will be featuring our staff poets tonight, and we hope you enjoy our Poetry Cafe.
Hello, I'm Carol Diggory Sheils. I am a librarian at the Seaside branch of Monterey County Free Libraries, and I also write children's books. And I started writing books soon after I became a children's librarian because I just fell in love with kids' books. And so I started writing, took many years and many rejection letters. And finally I got an agent, which you really need to get published. And one of the first things she said to me was, whatever you do, do not write poetry. She goes, no editors want to look at poetry. They can't sell poetry. Don't write it. So I took her advice, and for many years I did not write poetry. And then one day I got an idea for a kid's poem about school, and I wrote it. And I wrote some more, and I wrote some more. My kids were always bringing ideas home from school. My husband was a kindergarten teacher, and I just couldn't stop. So she was right. It took a while for an editor to get interested, but eventually Dutton Children's Books published my book, Lunch Money and Other Poems About School. And I'm happy to say that 25 years later, it's still in print. They also asked me to do 3 sequels after Lunch Money. So I've been writing poetry and getting away with it. So my advice is, don't listen to people's advice. So I'd like to read a poem from my book called Someone Used My Toothbrush and Other Poems About the Bathroom. You can write poetry about anything, including the bathroom. And I thought this was appropriate for what we're going through these days, all sequestered cozily together. And it's called My Sisters in the Bathroom. The illustration is by Paul Mizell. We've done about 8 books together, and his illustrations are just great. He lives in Maine, and we've never actually met, but we've worked well together. So, My Sisters in the Bathroom. My sister's in the bathroom. What does she do in there? How long can someone floss their teeth or brush and comb their hair? My sister's in the bathroom. Is she napping in the tub? If you've really got to go out and find a shrub. My sister's in the bathroom. You can yell and plead and call, or you can join the rest of us. The line forms down the hall. That was a lot of fun to write too. It's amazing how many things you can find about the bathroom. Most of these ideas came from my kids and, like I said, my husband, but this one from Lunch Money is one that really came from my own experience. And I suppose a lot of us had the same experience looking out those great big windows in elementary school at the outside world. And it is called Outside, Inside. Outside, the sky is cracking, the leaves are slapping, the flag is snapping. Inside, we are coloring maps. Outside, the air is thrumming, The wires are humming. A storm is coming. Inside, we are doing the States. Outside, I would shout into the wind. I would twirl and dance and spin, feel the rain against my skin. Inside, I am making Michigan blue. Well, thanks for listening. Hope to see you again at the library in the not too distant future. And happy Poetry Month. Bye-bye.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I am the Literacy and Volunteer Services Manager at Monterey County Free Libraries, and I started writing poems in 2020, and here's one for you. A poem, Not So Late at Night, by rather dim artificial light. A poem written by hand, not over water, but on land, in a notebook, not in the sand. A poem that doesn't really rhyme, or even less keep time, or taste like lime, isn't worth a dime. A poem scribbled at an odd angle, whose English is mangled, from her brain had to be wrangled, doesn't sound newfangled, isn't a rhyme, is a jangle. Thank you for listening, and happy Poetry Month.
Hi, I'm Bianca Stingo, a managing librarian at Monterey County Free Libraries, and I will be reading two poems. The first poem is called Conference of Squirrels. The squirrels are meeting again. I see them perched on their hind legs, alert, or lounging on their bellies, 2, 4, or 5. They gather on the broad severed stump of a large old cypress tree. I wonder what they are talking about, what they are whispering. I watch them whenever I walk this way. They seem indifferent to my passing, yet scatter when I approach, hiding behind a small tree to get a closer look. What are your secrets, little squirrels? Are you discussing the best place to eat, plotting the overthrow of humanity, or simply talking about the weather on this May gray day? I want to be part of your circle, to be your confidant, to learn about squirrel mysteries, like what's in that hole that you live in underground. But alas, it's not to be. I can never get close enough to hear the whispers or the plans. I'll just keep walking, watching from a distance, and maybe, if I spend enough time on this trail, in this meadow, by this lake, I will learn of secrets that contemplation on an old tree stump, in a field, outside, with friends, reveals. The next poem I'm going to read, I wrote for my daughter. It's called Before School. On the drive to school, I ask her, do you smile each morning when we drive onto the highway and see the frothy white waves greet the sand? No, she says. I ask, do you stand tall at school and look at the bay on a clear blue day and say, beautiful? No, she says. Then as I drop her at campus to watch her mingle into the river of teens, I say, have a wonderful day. And I hope the incidental beauty of ocean views and blue skies embrace her anyway.
It's set, go.
Okay, my name is John Huffle, and I wrote a poem a day for the year 2019. And I'm going to read the first poem I wrote back in January 1st, 2019. I wrote the poem in the afternoon, and it was a sunny day. The title of the poem is Solution. Liquid or the answer to a problem, or both or neither. Solving but not solved. Resolution for this day, live to see another day. It is a resolution day. Strength to do something resolved into a new law. When will that stop? Oh, resolve to be better. Oh, resolve to be good. Oh, resolve to be honest. There are so many, too many resolutions can cause revolutions. And if it fails, then what remains is tomorrow is another day.
Everyone, my name is Leslie and I head the Reading Safari and Stream programs. I have 2 poems to read to you today. I wrote both of these poems. They are both first drafts, and so they're imperfect. I'm going to share them with you anyway, okay? My first one is a poem that is called a blackout poem. A blackout poem is when you take a page or an excerpt of writing and then you black out most of the words and then you make a poem out of the words that are left. So as you can see, this is from Cosmos by Carl Sagan. I had a copy that is very old and has no cover, so I started using it for these kinds of writing exercises. So I am going to read you a blackout poem, and it is called Blues of the Gods. The story goes, life frayed the tolerance for ambiguity. Nobody knows an inhabited world, drifting white clouds, raging dust storms, mythic, ardent, a world of wonders and lifeless manifestations. All that matters is the evidence, future prospects, past apprehensions, those departed days, the gulf of space. So that again is a blackout poem from Cosmos by Carl Sagan. So none of those words are actually mine, they're his. I just put them in a different order. So I kind of selected them from the text, this particular page, and then I put them in order in the way that I thought sounded really cool. So that is it for my first poem. I'm going to move on to my second poem, which is called In the Blue Room. Seems like we're on a blue theme today. This one I wrote a couple of years ago. Again, it's a first draft. And as you'll see, it's totally different from the first one. This is called In the Blue Room. We were so young in the blue room, so in love in the blue room. When in the blue room, how could we have known the truth of life? We'd already had so much life, but we still didn't know that life would come for us. It would stare us down like death. It would steal us from each other and return us to each other, naked, battered, sometimes unrecognizable. Except I know you, and you me. We no longer mystify each other. In the blue room, our secrets unfolded, a long story between us that began there, continues here. Do you hear what I'm saying? It continues. And that is the end of my poem, In the Blue Room. Thank you so much for giving me your attention. I hope that you'll write some poetry of your own. That's always the goal. If you can, write some poetry, express your feelings. Don't worry about how bad it sounds because most of mine are pretty terrible. Thank you again for listening. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the week, and I will see you soon. All right, take care.
My name is John Huffle, and I wrote a poem a day for the year 2019. I'm going to read the last poem I wrote that year on December 31st. I wrote the poem in the afternoon, and it was a sunny day. The title of the poem is End. Sadness and joy mix so well. This poem a day is ending. What an entertaining resolution. Good things come to an end. Good things have a beginning. That is not saying this is good. That is saying good for me. This is finishing one thing. Tomorrow is starting another. What kind of a year was 2019? The wars continue, and so does the pollution crisis. A new war was averted for a few months, maybe more. The rich are much, much richer. So it goes, there are more poor. History will judge better than us.
Hi again, thank you so much for joining us this evening for our Poetry Cafe. I hope you enjoyed listening to the poems tonight as much as we enjoyed bringing this program to you. And we hope that by participating in our program this evening that you will read more poetry and perhaps write more poetry. And we look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for watching. Bye.